What's going on, guys? This is Molten's Mind and Body. I am your host, Jeff Molten. I'd like to welcome you back to the show, and if you're a first-time listener, I appreciate you tuning in. Today, we are going to be doing something that we've done the last 2 weeks, which we've been doing regular now, is our top 10 questions of the week. So with these questions, I like to take your questions, honestly, and answer them on the podcast so we can impact and help a lot of other people instead of just, one-on-one answering your question. This way, more people can hear it, and I think it'll just benefit overall. So on the week-to-week basis, I like to mix them up a little bit. So when I'm taking your questions, if I didn't answer yours, it's not because it was a bad one. I just thought maybe we've already answered it in one of the last 2 podcasts, or if something might be a little bit better for the population or the people we're trying to reach, okay? So we're going to get started with question number 1, which is, what was the first cheat meal I had after my last competition? So for those of you that don't know, I competed in bodybuilding for multiple years and did 2 competitions in bodybuilding and 1 in men's physique. The last 2 bodybuilding competitions, the last one I won my pro card, so I became a pro natural drug-free bodybuilder. And if you're not familiar with bodybuilding as a whole, to get into that stage competition where you see these people at very low body fat percentages and you have to diet for me anyway, I think, minimum 16 weeks, realistically 20, 24 weeks or more, depending on how much weight you have to lose. So my last competition, I lost about 30 pounds over 24 weeks. So you're very restricted, you're very disciplined going to this point. Every calorie is being counted, your proteins, fats, and carbs are being monitored, and you're adjusting as you go throughout the competitions, or the prep, I should say, for the competition. So that meal after that competition, you're very depleted and you're ready to eat. So what I did is I went to, where did I end up going to? Oh, the Cheesecake Factory. So the last competition, I went to the Cheesecake Factory, which was crazy because, you've had such good foods, nutrient-dense foods. You haven't had a lot of crappy foods. So your body's used to having something and you've been very restricted. So I go into there, I'm going to the Cheesecake Factory, I get a bacon cheeseburger, fries, a dozen wings, and a big milkshake. With obviously they have like bread and things like that as an appetizer. So I ate it all. I was on the verge of I felt so sick after I ate it, but it was one of those when you're eating it, you feel like you're just absorbing it all and you need it and your body's like, yes. And then you finish and you're like, oh my God, what did I do? So it was a mess. I didn't get sick, but I felt sick. But that was the meal I had right after. So that I'm a go-to bacon cheeseburger, fries, milkshake kind of guy. That's literally my go-to almost every time I want to go out and have something a bit over the top, and that's necessarily not great for me. So that's my go-to. And that was that last competition. That was the meal I had. So going into the second question, do I take any supplements? So I do take some supplements, yes. So I think everyone, whether you're working out or not, should be taking certain type of supplements. So I think everyone should be taking a multivitamin. I think everyone should be taking a fish oil. Those are 2 that I think go around everywhere. I take a whey protein supplement. So I don't think you need protein. You definitely don't. But I think if you lack protein in your diet, it's a good way to get more in. So it's always recommended for me I think you should have a supplement on hand if you need it to get the amount of calories or protein you need that day. So I have the protein, the multivitamin, the fish oil. I also take turmeric, which is a natural anti-inflammatory, joint inflammation, and so I highly recommend that. Also, I take a probiotic on a daily basis. I think it helps with your microbiome, your gut health, digestion, and overall, I think it helps the immune system also. So probiotic is something great to take, especially help with digestion overall. So what do I else? I also take creatine. So I think creatine is something, if you're into working out, you should be taking 3 to 5 grams a day, depending on your body weight. You can just take it every day, just like a normal thing, whether you're working out or days even when you're not working out. So that supplement I also take. And I think, do I take anything else? I think those are the big ones. So again, if you have questions with them specifically, give me a message, shoot me a message on Facebook, Instagram, wherever it may be, and I would love to talk a little bit more about it with you, okay? So number 3, so the question is, describe the feeling I had when I won my pro card. So going back to the first question a little bit, talking about my bodybuilding competition and career doing that. So my last year when I competed, like I said, I won my pro card. And honestly, like, I'm going to tell you a little bit of the story, but it was honestly the biggest accomplishment, I think, in my life, the highest I felt in a competition level. It was just, there was so much leading up to that show, so much physically I needed to do to have a shot at winning. I financially was in a tough situation. I was living in Boston. I was biking to work, so it's hard to regulate your cardio, your calories. I was biking like 5 a.m. to work, so it's dark, and it's just like, it wasn't that close, so, it was just not a good situation. When I was going to the grocery store, I only could carry how much I could carry in a backpack, and like I said, I didn't have a lot of money in the first place, so the types of foods I were eating were not necessarily my favorite choices, but I had to do what was best financially, and I was always, getting one thing, two things here and there, and I got to a point where the only supplement I was taking was a little bit of creatine and protein powder. Couldn't afford all these other things, and I was working 12 to 14 hour days at Equinox for 3-4 months, and that was at the end of the prep too. So starting a new job, had to keep energy high, having these long days at work, and I think what got me through it, which I want to talk a little bit about, was just the mindset. You have to have such a mindset no matter what you're doing and believe that it's going to happen. And I had to make it a game. I was like, no one's going to outwork me. This is my show. And if I didn't win, there was nothing I could have done, because I knew I wasn't getting outworked. I just truly knew it. If someone was doing more than me, then hey, take the show, because I just didn't think that was happening. So the feeling was just incredible. The day of the show, I had the family and everyone come out, which was the first time them seeing me compete. And that was the first time they saw me on stage, and they were just like, holy cow, like, they didn't realize it was against different age classes and heights and weights, and to come out on top and have everyone there and just be super excited. I broke down on stage on all fours and just like couldn't believe that I actually did it. And it was just an incredible feeling. I got really emotional. It's just something I'll never forget, because I think it was the ultimate, like, holy crap, I did it, just because of how much I went through. It was an amazing time. So yeah, just incredible, guys. So the next one we're gonna go into, question 4, is, should you do cardio before or after your workout? So I think the first question you ask is, why are you doing cardio? Is it an extra tool to help you lose weight, or are you trying to do it to physically condition yourself better cardiovascular wise? So I don't think it necessarily matters from a caloric standpoint. So doing, cardio before or after, if your goal is to just burn calories, it doesn't matter. If you want to warm up doing cardio and then you can perform your workout, do that. If you feel like it fatigues you too much, do it after. Doesn't matter. The one topic I want to touch on to, though, which is just something, there's a big misconception, is fasted cardio. Fasted cardio does not burn more calories or burn more body fat than doing cardio when you've already eaten. So a lot of people now talk about getting up early, empty stomach, going to the gym, and they're like, because I haven't eaten, I'm going to burn more fat. You're burning the same amount of calories, so at the end of the day, you're going to burn the same amount of fat. Doesn't necessarily matter if you're burning pure carbohydrates or pure fat, which is what people talk about doing when they're doing fasted cardio. This just doesn't matter. You just have to regulate your caloric intake and calories that day. So it doesn't matter when you do it. It's just a preference. So whatever works best for you. Let's see here. What do we got? Let's see. Question number 5. How do you get a flat stomach? So the big thing, it's diet. Simple as that. It's diet. So if you're not regulating your calories and tracking your food based off what, how many calories you're burning to how much you're taking in, and making the right choices, you're not going to get a flat stomach. So flat stomach, you have to burn body fat, and the only way to do that is to regulate your calorie intake or exercise more. I think most people exercise too much when they want to lose weight and don't eat enough, and they cause metabolism or metabolic issues, which will, over time, I've done a video in the past about that, will destroy you and basically not allow you to lose weight, because your metabolism will slow down to the point you're not eating and you're not losing weight. So I think the number one thing is lock in your calorie intake and make sure you're doing the right things that reason or that way, and then start regulating your workouts a little bit more. So again, you lose the flat stomach by regulating your diet and exercising 3 to 5 days a week and just moving more. Okay. Let's see here. What are are free weights better than machines? Question number 6. So in my opinion, they are. But again, now this is relative to what your goal is. I think Free weights are more functional, so if you're using a barbell, dumbbells, they use a lot more of the stability muscles, those little ones that stabilize the joint or the shoulder or things like ankle, hip. You're also in space, so you think about it, you got to balance more. You have to use more muscles to stabilize everything that's going on. And also, I think that way is a better way to train because I think you get overall better balance, coordination, and strength as a unit compared to where machines, if you're trying to develop a specific muscle group or if you're using it for like a rehab purpose, those are the two big reasons, right? So when I was doing bodybuilding, I did use a lot of isolated machines because my goal was to develop a bicep or a quad or a hamstring or whatever it may be. So I would do a lot of those, but I think like if you're doing lunges, squats, deadlifts, things that use barbells and dumbbells, you're going to get stronger overall. And I think more functional strength that translates to your daily activities of like just moving around, picking up things and doing things, like squatting, deadlifting, lunging. These are things you do every day basically and don't realize it. So I think I prefer dumbbells and barbells if I had to pick for sure. If you have an injury, I think the machines have a purpose to an extent. But really, I would never push people towards them. I really say push them away and try to get them have that balance, coordination, and more functional strength. So I think, if I had to pick, by far, dumbbells and barbells over machines. Let's see. We're going to go into number 7. Okay, so why are your muscles sore after you work out? So I have a lot of people, they're like, oh, I just crushed my workout. My legs are toast and they're sore for like 3, 4, 5 days. And number one, they don't know why they're sore. They don't realize what's actually happening. And number two, they probably shouldn't be that sore. I think that's doing more damage than actual good. So what's actually happening, though, is when you work out, your muscle fibers are actually tearing. You're creating trauma to the muscle. So you have all these little fibers, and they're just splitting, and you're getting little tears in the fibers. Now, if you worked out and, say, did a couple exercises, you get some tears in the muscle. It creates inflammation, which creates that soreness. And it takes a couple days realistically to heal. Then the muscle heals, it grows back a little bit bigger and stronger, and then you can perform the exercise in a few days. Now, the people, I think, make 2 mistakes. The first mistake is they do too much in a workout, create a massive amount of trauma to the muscle to the point where you're inhibiting walking, moving, doing things that you need to do because you're so sore, and they think that's a good thing. Now, when you're that sore, it takes longer to heal, so the amount of workouts you can get in. So the best example I can give is if you did a leg workout and you're sore for 5 days, and then the 6th or 7th day you train again, you barely are getting one leg workout in that week. What I would rather do is to do like half or even a third of the amount in that day, and then be training every 2 days, 2 or 3 days. So you're getting 2 or 3 leg workouts in a week. Overall, that week you're not as sore. You can do more, and you can recover faster. It's not more beneficial necessarily all the time to just do more damage to the muscle. I think that leads to injuries, joint pain, fatigue. Your nervous system gets crushed, right? I think that's when you go into a gym and the weight feels heavy when it normally doesn't. That's not necessarily a muscular thing. That's a nervous system thing. Your nervous system is very taxed. It's fatigued. It's exhausted. And you got to make sure that you're not just doing that on a crazy often basis. You need 24, 48 hours, minimum after your workout to recover. If you're doing a lot of damage, I think most people do too much, and then it takes days and days and days, and I think it's counterproductive. So again, you're creating trauma to the muscle. That is what the soreness comes from, and I think most people do that too often and too much in a workout, okay? So we'll go on to the next question, but again, don't overdo it. It's the biggest piece of advice I can give you over the years and years of lifting. I think most people overdo it, which it's caused big problems down the road to the joints. Because when you're young, you don't feel it. Even me only being 28, my body's starting to feel the injuries and everything start to add up already, okay? So let's see what we got here. Question number 8, how often should you work out? So I'm going to go into this question in a couple different ways. So how often? I think you should be doing at least 3 to 5 times a week, minimum 3. If you're doing 3 days a week, probably 3 full body workouts to start. If you're going 5 days a week, I would recommend some type of upper body, lower body, push, pull, leg. So you'd hit everything multiple times a week. And it also obviously depends on what you're training for. Like right now, most of my workouts I'm doing 3 to 4 strength workouts a week, and probably 3, and then like 3 actual Metcon, which has some strength involved in it, which is just high heart rate stuff. So I'm doing full body things almost every day, but because I'm only doing like 1 exercise per body part, if you want to look at it that way, the amount of soreness I have is minimal. So I'm only doing like one leg workout a day, like one actual exercise, maybe two at most, so I can recover in a day or two. If you are feeling sore, take a day off or do some slight dynamic movements. So like, you're doing cardiovascular stuff, you're doing light walking lunges, body weight squats, push-ups, only like a couple sets. It just getting blood into the muscle. That way that'll actually speed up recovery, because when you're sore, you created that trauma to the muscle, it has toxins in it, all that lactic acid. So doing those exercises will actually flush that out, get blood and nutrients into the muscle, and help speed up the recovery process. So I think 3 to 5 days a week is a good spot. I think when you get to that 6 and 7 mark, you're overtraining depending on what you're doing. Now, if you're doing like a really light cardio day and stretching and mobility and flexibility, I think training 7 days a week is fine. But it's the intensity that you have to regulate, and that really depends on each person and what your goals are. But, I think you always should need 1 or 2 off days, or at least 1 or 2 days that you're really taking it easy and just recovering, whether it's flexibility or mobility work. So I think that's important. Last 2 questions we're going to go into, okay? So we got, why do I weigh less in the morning? So I had someone ask me this the other day, that like, why do I weigh less in the morning? Because they'll try to keep track of their weight as a way to guide if they're weight loss. And what happens is people weigh themselves in the morning, the afternoon, night. And what happens is you lose track of your actual weight and it's not consistent, because when you wake up in the morning, you go to the bathroom, have an empty stomach, that is your true body weight, okay? When you wake up in the morning, you have all that water digested, the food's digested, and you go to the bathroom, so there's really nothing left in your stomach or, like that. So that's going to be your lightest you're going to be. It's going to be your truest body weight. Once you start to hydrate, you had your coffee, your water, your lunch, your breakfast, now you're going to have more substance and food in your body, which is going to throw off the actual weight. Now, if your goal is to track your weight, I think that's a useful tool. Now, sodium levels, water levels, all that's going to regulate your food, your weight a little bit. So doing it the most accurately way possible would be every morning, empty stomach, go to the bathroom and get an accurate weight, and do it the same time every day. Now, and that's the best way to do it. So that's why you weigh less, because there's food and everything in your stomach. There's water in your stomach before you go to bed, and you want to have that out in the morning and let it absorb and use how it's supposed to. Okay? All right, guys. So we're going to go into question number 10. Okay, should I eat at night or stop after 6 p.m.? Okay, so here's another question, another myth that really drives me crazy, that because there's a big misconception going on in the fitness industry, that I see way too many trainers and coaches say this, because if you're saying this, you just don't know the physiology, and actually you don't know much about nutrition in my eyes, because when you're eating before bed, there's no reason you can't eat before bed, okay? If you're hungry, eat before bed. That food will not, I promise you it will not, just store as fat because of you eating late. Now, that being said, if your calorie intake is the same consistently on a daily basis, so we'll use 2,500 calories a day as an example. If you eat 2,500 calories a day, but all your food comes in the morning, or you eat 2,500 calories and all your food comes at night, you're gonna regulate the same body weight, right? Your body weight will stay consistently the same, and you're going to pretty much regulate the same amount of body fat. Now, if your exercise is regulated and your food is regulated. Now, if you weigh yourself in the morning on the day that you've ate late, you will weigh more. It's not because you gained fat when you went to bed. It's because you ate sodium, water, food at night. So when you weigh up, it has a lot less time to digest and get out of your system, thus showing you a false weight that you're actually not, okay? So intermittent fasting is another thing people talk about a lot, which if you're not familiar with that, is you're basically eating in an 8-hour window. So you eat maybe noon to 8. That's when you eat. You skip the whole morning. Now, if you're eating that last meal at 8 o'clock at night, you're going to weigh more in the morning. But the whole point of intermittent fasting isn't necessarily a weight loss tool. I think it could be useful to people that munch on food all day. So if you restrict yourself to 8 hours, you'll probably eat less than you would if you ate all day. But that's not the point of it, okay? So I think that's what people use it for a lot of the time, when really it has some other benefits and things like that. I think it's just one of those things that I think most people have a false impression of why they actually do it. If it helps you as a weight loss tool, that's great, but there are other benefits to it when it comes to hormonal levels, human growth response, getting better focus in the morning, and different things like that. So you can, these are different things that you can look into. I don't really want to talk too much about intermittent fasting in this video, but what I want to do is let you know it does not matter whether you eat in the morning or at night, okay? If you want to eat 6 meals a day, 2 meals a day, 5 meals a day, 4 meals a day, it doesn't matter when it comes to weight loss. If your calories are the same, 1 meal or 6 meals, your weight will be the same because it's about calorie consumption. So when you're talking about figuring out your nutrition and figuring out a diet that works for you, if you like eating 5 meals, eat 5. If you like eating 3, eat 3. If you're eating 6 at 6, whatever that goal calorie intake you need to take in, that is the number one priority. Okay, guys? If you could take something away from this last question is don't worry about when you're eating. Make sure you're consistently eating when you're hungry and hitting a calorie marker and tracking your foods. And that's going to lead you from if you want to lose weight or build muscle, okay? So those are the top questions of the day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you have questions, please shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or the YouTube. You can comment in the YouTube videos. Moving forward, next video we're going to have is a specific topic. So if you have any questions for me, please let me know. I can bring it up maybe in the next video, or I'd love to bring it on to the next top 10 questions of the week. Again, moving forward, probably within the next few weeks, we're going to be bringing guests on. I have a list of some really good people that I think will benefit, that can benefit you from listening. And I think you'll learn a lot, and just it'll give you another view on some people that are in this industry that I believe are really, really good at what they do. So I hope all you have a great rest of your night, and I will see you on Friday. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Thanks. See ya.